Most worshipful Grand Master, past Grand Masters, worshipful Masters, and brethren, good afternoon. It is again my pleasure to address you and give you yet another oration via YouTube. First off, let me thank those who responded to my last oration. I enjoyed discussing and clearing up a few misunderstandings about the topic and its contents. The title of this oration is, What Am I Missing? A worthy brother told me the other day that he had been pondering the question, what he was missing during the COVID shutdown. I thank him for this conversation as it gave me an idea to write an oration about it. So what am I missing? Some of the conversation I had with this brother was whether he missed or didn't miss certain Masonic bodies he had been active in prior to the virus shutdown. Why would these thoughts even enter our head? We definitely enjoy our meetings and the fellowship that comes with it. Is he not getting enough out of it so that when he is absent, it is not missed? Are lodge meetings stale? Just the same old boring business meetings? I know with my lodge, we enjoy a nice educational from the senior warden at the end of the meeting. But is that enough to keep our members interested and coming back? And let's be honest, business meetings can be kind of boring. We've all heard this. You don't know what you've got until it's gone. Truth is, you knew what you had, you just never thought you would miss it. Do we take things for granted? I think sometimes we can. What about Freemasonry? Out of sight, out of mind? With our busy lives, it can be easy to replace what used to be a meeting night, now has been freed up for some other activity. There are probably numerous lodges in America that have great ideas on how to spruce up regular lodge nights. Table lodges I have attended have been some of the most enjoyable meetings I have ever been to. I know there's a time issue and business meetings take too long to hold a table lodge on the same night. But business can be moved along quickly or table some of the less important items to make room for your table lodge for the sake of time. And what about our educationals? I think a good idea on this, and maybe some of you have done it already, is to hold your educational after you close or take a break and invite a guest speaker to address your lodge members during dessert time. So what is the trick to keeping our members interested in coming back every meeting? I took the following off various Masonic sites. I cannot verify these numbers, especially in the state of Utah, so I will quote this brother. He says, boring business meetings are the single greatest reasons 85% of Masons don't attend lodge regularly. Is this true? Hard to tell without polling our members as to why, but I would think that maybe it is some of our members' reasons. Here are a few ideas I read about to help spruce up lodge night. Assign an officer to greet each member as he enters the lodge. Make certain that he understands that it's his job to make each person feel welcome. During introductions, make your introductions warm and personal. Meetings, especially business meetings, shouldn't drag on. There are ways to make your meetings flow and business in a timely manner. For example, the secretary has much to do with the pace of the meeting. If there are no petitions, the worship master should be informed before the meeting and shouldn't ask if there are any petitions to be read. If there is to be no voting, it shouldn't be asked. People don't like to know what's going on in their fraternity, so reporting Grand Lodge communications are imperative. Whatever kind of program you present, make it the best it can possibly be. Absolutely nothing works better than quality programs to increase attendance. Every man likes to think the time he has invested in going to lodge is worthwhile. Planning for a perfect evening suggests every lodge makes something special happen at stated communications at least 6 times a year. These meetings should be planned at least 6 months in advance so you can have your choice of speakers or guests. Don't forget about your Grand Lodge officers. Most can give you an interesting presentation and would enjoy visiting with people in your lodge. Calling every new Mason who has been raised in the past few years reminds that Mason that his lodge and his brothers are interested in him. If he hasn't attended in a while, this is a good time to find out why. If there is a problem, now is the ideal time to handle it. A lodge picnic can be fun. Inviting the wives, the kids, and even the neighbors. The family spirit is good for the lodge and allows brothers to learn more about each other. Everyone has skills, everyone has talents, everyone has interests. Try to find out the skills, talents, and interests of the members. Make them feel like their involvement is expected. Create a list of these items and use it in your planning. The more you can direct your lodge programs toward members' interests, the more attendance you will have. Be sure to listen to the members. Don't just act like you're listening. Follow some of their suggestions. They just may work. If they don't, what have you lost? Remember, the lodge belongs to all the members, and there's no such thing as an unimportant member. Do you seriously have regular lodge programs, or is it just hit and miss? Is there something scheduled for your first meeting night back in September? What about the next meeting night? What was planned for tonight other than opening, reading the minutes, a program, and closing? Do you believe it's really enough to keep all of your members interested? Answer this question honestly. Are you doing everything you can to make your lodge the best it can be? These are just some ideas I recently read about. I am sure your lodges have had ideas that have worked as well. Online Zoom meetings are a great alternative during these times. If this shutdown has taught us anything, it is that there's a lot of technology we can take advantage of. I know there are some out there who do not particularly like the online option. But we are not talking about tiled meetings, just a group of Masons getting together and chatting. I do remember when the internet was introduced to the world, and soon after, chat rooms and social media. It didn't take long for the naysayers to state their opinion out there on the evils of the internet. It is progress and here to stay whether we like it or not. Of course, I was not around when the telephone was invented. I'm not quite that old. But I can only imagine there were those out there who just might have said, with this telephone thing, no one will ever visit people in person anymore. Just speculation, of course. I admit there are evil people out there that take full advantage of the internet and exploit it to their own agenda. I'm on what's called an ICAC team, Internet Crimes Against Children, and I have seen the worst of what the internet can be. But for the most part, it is a valuable tool and frankly, hard to live without anymore. But if these online meetings are not tiled, there wouldn't be much for a hacker to see anyway. I agree, let's keep our ritual in the lodge, but let's keep in touch with each member. We all have members in our lodge that live out of state or out of the area. Even local members that have a hard time getting to actual meetings anymore. Think about the possibility of even meeting members of your own lodge that you have never had the privilege of before. A final thought on social media. We live in tough times right now. I have Masonic brethren and friends that have completely different opinions from each other on politics, religion, and current events that are happening in the world today. That's great. It's what makes us unique in our own way. Right now, I'm afraid, this world has a lot of people living on a short fuse, and it takes no more than a post on social media of one's own thoughts or beliefs to make one brother look at another brother in a different light. Remember, we are taught to keep our passions within due bounds, not only to our brethren, but toward all mankind. I would hope that as brethren, we can have differences on world events, or for that matter, any other topic, and still remain brothers. For the record, Worshipful Grandmaster Clay Hamblin's decision 20-009, the COVID-19 reopening, came out after this oration was written. So of course, table lodges, guest speakers, etc., that I had talked about will have to wait until we are all green and good to go. Brethren, I thank you again for taking the time to watch and or read this oration. This has been a privilege for me this year. During the shutdown, it has been a great way to get these orations out, and I do hope that you've enjoyed all that I have done. Please take care of yourself and your families. Thank you.